Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me once again. Planet Hog coming back at you with another episode, ladies and gents. Thank you for joining me on this, it's a little bit of a tumultuous Monday night. A little bit of a thunderstorm outside. And man, I'm going to do this video and then I'm going to bed. Because that Florida heat is no joke. And 4 o'clock in the morning comes early. Anyhow, speaking of that summer heat, Lizzo, ladies and gentlemen, not to bury the lead, so here you go. Lizzo has, let me give you a bit of the timeline. So there was a video of her on TikTok, breaking down, crying about being lonely and all these things. And, she was having some kind of an emotional crisis, right? And she started working out. And that's where we picked the story up. She's been working out for a while now, and you see that picture there. You see that picture. That she looks like the boy that Big Worm didn't give the chili cheese Fritos to. Mama. She looks like, look at that picture all the way to the left. Somebody should have told her not to wear black on black. She's walking around looking like Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Me if I keep talking shit. That picture all the way to the right. She looks like she's about to come off the line and hit that sled. She looks like somebody that Bruce Buffer has introduced to the ring. Anyway, okay, we got all our jokes in. Now, I'm sorry, that Bruce Buffer one cracked me up a little bit. And in this corner, you've seen her on TikTok, weighing in at a whole lot of fucking pounds. Lizzo. She looks like the Awesome Kong. Anyway, okay, that was the last one. Because there is a serious issue here that I think bears remarking upon. And it's this. She was, for all intents and purposes, and correct me if I'm wrong, she was a key figure, if not the most prominent figure, in the body positive movement. She was their poster child. Why wouldn't she be? Right? It's debaucherous behavior, and she's black, so there you go. She's going to be promoted for that. But the thing that's really interesting to me is all of these voices, no doubt the loudest external voices in her ear, were all encouraging. You had people at every turn telling her how beautiful she is, telling her, how powerful she is, all the usual self-esteem boosting adjectives, the hollow compliments that people give to other people so that they'll continue to make a spectacle out of themselves for the amusement of the crowd that pretends to actually care about them. And that's what this was. That's all she ever was to me. There was the first time I was introduced to this woman was she was twerking, I think, at a Lakers game. It was a basketball game. I saw it briefly on the internet because I don't watch the NBA, but I think it was a basketball game where she was twerking and she had like a weird dress with like her ass cheeks cut out or some shit. Something heinous, right? And I felt bad initially. But, for a lot of these people, I don't pity them anymore because they're a problem. They've taken their dysfunction and now they're encouraging it in the younger, more impressionable generation. So I can't allow myself to feel sorry for these people anymore because, for all intents and purposes, they're the enemy. When I did feel sorry for her, it was because, you could clearly see what this is. For women with self-esteem issues that are smaller, they're able to hide it a different way. They're able to kind of just blend in. They're able to kind of fade to the background. They're able to kind of be silent and not be seen. But what do you do when you're a bigger girl, both in terms of height and girth, and you have these same self-esteem issues? Well, you can't hide because, people will notice you. And they'll also notice you trying to hide, and that will encourage people to make fun of you. So it's like now they go the opposite way, and they're boorish. right? And they have this manufactured personality where they will sometimes work directly against what you would anticipate them to be. So, for instance, with her being a female, well, she'll go out of her way to be as unfeminine as possible. And then when she wants to get that, then, then we'll throw up some nude pictures or whatever. But the front stage personality is, I guess, what I'm alluding to, is very boorish. It's got this edge. It's got this chip on. She got this chip on your shoulder, like nothing phases you. But it's the opposite. I mean, I see through this. I've seen a lot of bigger girls that do what she does. And on the one hand, I can understand, because you think if you show people how vulnerable you really are, you don't trust them not to use that against you, not to abuse you for it. And by abuse, I'm talking verbal, maybe emotional, certainly not physical, but it is, it is a possibility, but that's not, the intent of how I used it. So they kind of manufacture this new persona that protects that sensitive little girl that's inside, right? I'm not a shrink, but I've seen this before. So on the one hand, I feel bad for her. But on the other hand, when you start, again, promoting dysfunctional behavior, trying to encourage young girls to be slutty, telling other overweight children that it's okay to be overweight, I can't abide that, because it's not. And I know we've created this kinder care world where, everybody's feelings come first. Well, is as long as you're a part of the liberal establishment dogma, as long as you're a part of the prevailing approved state of mind where you're a victim at all times and you're always trying to find new ways to make yourself a victim, this weird self-deprecation kind of thing. Well, as long as you adhere to that, then you're fine. So this body positive movement, which basically encourages overweight people, but specifically girls, to stay overweight, it's garbage. It's wrong. It's harmful. And you're setting these girls up for a life of loneliness. You're setting these girls up for a life of misery. And it probably won't be a long life. You're setting these girls up for a life of health problems. In addition to all of that, the body positive movement, one of my biggest issues with it is you're pretending to care about these girls, but you're actually doing to them what they're afraid of most. See, they're afraid of mockery. You're basically mocking them to their face, wrapped in a compliment. It appears like we're complimenting you, but we really just are encouraging you to continue to make a spectacle of yourself, much like they did that dude. What was that guy's name? Oh man, he just got caught. EDP, where you'd have videos where he had videos where all he did was eat, but he was morbidly obese. And there's a lot of people that do this. There's people who just eat a bunch of crap, and it's like morbidly obese people eating stuff they should not be eating. It's weird. All to the, applause of these people who act like they care about you, but they really just want to watch you destroy yourself, right? Because after you kill yourself, well, they get the thrill of what it's like to murder someone without actually catching the charge for it. And then they're off to the next one. So they'll applaud you and they'll continue to boost your head, and because they see how sensitive they see it too. But the body positive movement, just like these people, they pretend to be on your side. But the people who are on your side are the people telling you need to lose weight because this is not healthy. You need to lose weight because diabetes is real. So Lizzo, she had this TikTok video, and that will be down in the description for you to peruse at your leisure, as well as the other two articles that I'm about to reference. But she had this TikTok video where she's basically crying and talking about how she's lonely and she feels like nobody cares about her and all of this, right? And that's certainly sad. I'm not here to make a mockery of that. When people have those kinds of emotional breakdowns, I that's where I'll pull back. Because I don't want to be that person that sets them off. the edge, especially when they're showing you, they're waving the white flag, they're crying, they're bearing themselves out. Okay. But isn't it interesting that you had all these voices bombarding her? And again, certainly the loudest voices are the ones that are telling her, oh, you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're strong, the usual pablum, fake, faux compliments, where they say all these words and they're just hollow. It's just the usual stuff that they say to some kid that comes out of the closet, or some man that wants to be a woman, or anybody who's doing something that is contrary to human nature and to their own well-being. They heap these compliments upon. Oh, you're a hero. So she had her fill of that. There was a joke there that I didn't. And cheesecake. Okay. That was the last one. So, she had her fill of that. But isn't it interesting that despite all of those voices, and again, no doubt the loudest ones being the ones encouraging her, certainly voices of contention like mine would be drowned out because we're body shamers or whatever. We're fat shamers or whatever, Isn't it interesting that despite having all of those voices and having all of that attention, it couldn't drown out the voice inside of her that said something is wrong, that said this is not the way to be? That's something to me. She had all of the affirmation that the public could afford, and afford in the sense of, give her, and that wasn't enough. She still had that breakdown. So anyway, she started working out, and good on her for that. I made my jokes at the beginning, and that's mainly because, she's got to pay a price for pushing this dysfunctional behavior on the next generation, because no doubt she's encouraged some girls that were teetering and probably considering losing weight to, no, I'm going to continue to be fat. So, just because someone turns the corner doesn't mean you forget about what they did. And at the same time, just because you remember what they did doesn't mean you don't offer them a chance to change. So, but isn't it interesting now that the media can't get their story straight about Lizzo working out? And I have 2 articles to illustrate this point. And of course, both of them will be in the description for you to peruse at your leisure. Now, the first one that I want to reference is from Women's Health. There you go. Women's Health magazine. Okay. And I'm just going to read you the 2 headlines here, because I want to show you how they can't get their story straight. And then I'm going to offer one of my theories as to why. So this headline in Women's Health magazine reads, Lizzo's been working on her fitness for 5 years. Here's her exercise routine. Now, before we go any further, who do you know that's been working out for 5 years that looks like Lizzo? See, ideally, when you're her size, the weight comes off pretty quickly because you're moving from a sedentary lifestyle. It's a new stimulus to your body. So your body is going to react the most drastically at the beginning. And for her to continue it for 5 years, well, she wouldn't look like she looks. So obviously this is a false headline, just on its face. Because again, who do you know that's been working out for 5 years that looks like she does? But anyway, the date of that is July 18th, 2020. So now we're going to go to an article dated May the 31st, 2021. So this one's more recent. And this is from allhiphop.com. The headline of this one reads, Lizzo developing a passion for exercising for mental health. Well, we have 2 problems here. The first one, developing, that's present progressive tense. As in, you just started it recently and you're continuing it. But hold on, this one says you've been doing it for 5 years. So which one is it? Are you developing a passion, or have you been doing it for 5 years? Because if you were, that headline would read developed, as in it was created in the past. So that's my first problem with it. My second problem with it, and this goes to the larger point, is they can't even be honest about why she's doing it. Lizzo developing a passion for exercising for mental health. That's it? Just for mental health? That's the only reason she wants to start working out, huh? Is for her mental health. Now, no doubt that working out does release endorphins. This has been scientifically proven. So it does help your mental health. And I'm glad she's working out for that reason. But let's not sit here and act like the only reason she's working out is for her mental health. But why? Why would they lie about that? Well, I think this is how she's packaging it. And by she, I'm talking about Lizzo. I think this is how she is packaging it, and I think this has been given to her by an agent, someone who's worried about those dividends. Because usually, have you noticed, with the onset of more of these fake fame people, these people who are famous for antisocial, dysfunctional behavior, people who really shouldn't be famous, but they're only famous because they're doing something that's, outside of the norm in a negative way, and it's just glorifying bad behavior, right? Like the catch me outside, how about that girl? Or anybody who's doing something like EDP. All he does is rant, cuss on the internet and say vulgar shit, and he was famous for that. I guess to put a fine point on it, I would say people who are ironically famous. People who we know should not be famous, but that's why they're famous, because they shouldn't be. But that's not real fame, right? The real fame usually comes from an achievement, something implacable that has been associated to your name that it will go down in history as something that you've contributed or something that people will remember you for, and it's typically a good thing. Now, we do have bad things as well, but even those things, like someone like Adolf Hitler, that was something historical that he did. Not glorifying it, just putting it in its proper context. Being a fat dude ranting on the internet about the Philadelphia Eagles, that's nothing. Being a fat girl that twerks and says and does a lot of weird shit just for attention, that's nothing. But we make these people famous. But isn't it interesting? With some of these countercultural movements, Colin Kaepernick comes to mind. I was talking to a friend of mine about Colin Kaepernick. I said, at a certain point, we were talking about him. I forget where it was. It was after the whole thing was underway and he had other people from the NFL joining him. And it was just a whole fucking thing, right? Irrespective of how you feel about the genesis of how that, irrespective of his motives, how you feel about that, there came a point in that movement where the movement actually became bigger than him. And when I had this discussion with this friend of mine, I said, he actually is a prisoner now of his own movement. They say fame is a sarcophagus. Even more so when you're fake famous, when you're famous for the wrong reasons. There was a point in time where if Colin Kaepernick, even now, like when they had that NFL workout, I said, what are you expecting from him? He can't very well stop wearing, the Stokely Carmichael shirts and under Black Panther shit. It's his gimmick now. He can't stop it. Why? Because those same people that sang his praises, those same people that bought his jerseys, those same people that defended him will crucify him. Will call him every name in the book. Will probably threaten his life because they're all unstable people. That's what happens when your backers are all bad people. When you attract that kind of an element, you almost become a hostage to your own movement. Well, it's no different than Lizzo. If she were to come out and say, yes, I'm working on my physical health, it's not good for me to be this heavy, I want to lose the weight, she would be shouted down, she'd be booed by women, right? Because men couldn't do this unless they're gay. Gay men could probably get away with it. But she'd be excoriated for this. She'd be lambasted, and she would certainly lose her fame. And that's not even a fake fame thing, although it contributes to it, because my mind goes to, remember Celebrity Fit Club? And it broke my heart when Bone Crusher was on it. It broke my heart when Bizarro was on it from D12. When Bizarre and Bone Crusher went to Celebrity Fit Club. And I think Bizarre actually said it. He said, I can't lose this weight because that's who I am. That's what people know me as. Fake fame. It's a sarcophagus. And Lizzo is now in those same crosshairs, and people are going to watch her very carefully, because the second she starts to come out and preach a message of young girls, it would be beautiful if she did. If she came out and had a message of, yes, young girls, you need to work out. You need to take care of yourself. This is how you show the world how you feel about yourself. Not cutting holes in your dress and making a spectacle of yourself. No. This is how you show the world that you really believe you're a beautiful young lady. You take care of yourself. You work out. But she's also in an interesting position because the left can't quite come out and get at her or denounce her the way they might like to. Because, well, number one, she's a person of color. Number two, she's still fat. So as long as she can do her little workout thing, as long as she's eating ice cream afterwards. She can go to the gym as long as we see her twerking or doing something wacky. As long as she continues that self-deprecating behavior, as long as she continues to make a mockery of herself, then it's okay that she works out. But the second she starts to take herself seriously, the second she starts to take her health seriously, it's all over. I'm not saying you got to become a bodybuilder, but you shouldn't be a body destroyer either. And that's why I say, it's going to be interesting when Adam Silver leaves the NBA. Because I don't think that man wants to run the NBA the way it's run. He's being held hostage right now. It's like Stockholm syndrome with him. I mean, 99.9% of his workforce is black and they're all on that woke shit. What the hell is he going to say? What the hell is he going to do other than keep going with it? Now, I'm not saying he didn't create this for himself. He absolutely did. But at a certain point, it took on its own momentum, and he became held hostage to his movement, his countercultural movement, the same way Lizzo will be too. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I have for you today. If you disagree, hey, man, let's talk about it. But, and maybe, do you think Lizzo's career would be over if she was skinny? I don't really, I've allowed myself to be old. Okay, and by that, I don't follow these younger musicians anymore. Mainly because I think the music's trash. And I know people said that about my generation, but there's a big difference between Ludacris and Lizzo, okay? Anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.